The Walking Dead Now Run. A little girl is made into a face-wearing science experiment. A mutation is engineered to destroy everything without question. Keep watching to find out which monsters in the Resident Evil film franchise are the scariest. A classic movie monster appearing throughout the franchise. We first stumble upon these shambling horrors in the first Resident Evil. Alice and a group of commandos unwittingly release the zombified staff of the Hive when they deactivate the facility's artificial intelligence, the Red Queen. The Hive is a secret underground laboratory beneath Racoon City, experimenting with bioweapons for the sinister Umbrella Corporation. When the T-virus is unleashed, the staff members become patient zeros for an infection that would eventually sweep the globe.
They are driven by the basest of impulses, the most basic of needs.
Which is?
The need to feed.
Much like your traditional zombies, the Hive's scientists and office staff endlessly seek out the flesh of the living. But with the virus also making them physically stronger, these zombies prove to be a bit more of a challenge than your traditional shufflers. Another resident of the Hive, the Licker, is a genetic experiment created by Umbrella Corporation. Known for their exposed brain, lack of skin, and disgustingly long tongues, their origin is unclear, but they're believed to be created by injecting the T-virus into live rabbits. Alice and the commandos unwittingly release one of the Lickers from its container during a zombie ambush, and after running loose through the complex, the Licker eventually finds Spence Parks. It kills him and feeds on his corpse. Eating human flesh allows the Licker to mutate further, becoming stronger and faster. Even more disturbingly, its jaw splits in two, and bony spines grow out of its back. The video game version of the Lickers differs slightly, and it's far, far worse. These are actually based on the human zombies suffering a second set of mutations, making them even more monstrous. Tough break, huh? Here's Johnny! The Executioners are first encountered in Resident Evil Afterlife, proving a terrifying challenge for Alice and her band of survivors. Created as a bioweapon at Umbrella Corporation's secret lab, Umbrella Prime, the Executioners are known for their towering physique and massive axes, used to cleave their way through survivors. Created especially for international buyers before the T-virus outbreak, these bioweapons were set free by the Red Queen AI with one goal: wipe out humanity. These hooded bad boys are seemingly inspired by Pyramid Head from the Silent Hill video game series, with their hidden faces and penchant for melee weapons. An executioner attacks the prison in Afterlife and is dispatched thanks to the team effort between Alice and Claire Redfield. Then, a pair of executioners are encountered during the New York City simulation in Resident Evil Retribution. Again, it takes a team up to kill them off, with Alice and Ada Wong blowing up a taxicab in order to take them out. These monsters were deliberately created in the lab, presumably using human hosts. Just another example of Umbrella Corporation's disgusting lack of compassion for human life. How do you make the undead even more of a menace? Turn them into the enhanced undead. Created by Dr. Isaacs in Resident Evil Extinction. The enhanced undead are the result of Umbrella's experiments in the domestication of zombie hordes. Essentially, he wanted to control the undead to use as a form of slave labor. All highly ethical research, of course. Isaac develops a compound from Alice's blood and injects it into numerous undead test subjects. The result? Increased strength, speed, and childlike problem-solving skills. Not exactly Einstein, but a huge leap up from their original zombie form. Unfortunately, their increased intelligence doesn't last, while the enhanced undead retain their strength and the ability to run after their prey.
You're supposed to be domesticating them.
Sometimes aggression has its uses.
Those obviously weren't the improvements Isaac was hoping for, but he was able to use them to hunt Alice and Claire Redfield, unleashing a horde of enhanced undead upon them. Stronger, tougher, and harder to kill, they proved quite the challenge for the unfortunate group of survivors. The enhanced undead are clearly more of a threat than the regular undead, and give Resident Evil an in-universe explanation for moving away from the George Romero-esque shuffling zombies of the first two movies. Man's best friend? Not exactly. The Cerberus monsters were created in Resident Evil during the T-virus outbreak in the Hive. Exposed security guard dogs undergo rapid mutations, causing their fur and skin to fall off, exposing their flesh and organs. The Cerberus are essentially zombified dogs, but they don't exactly shuffle like their humanoid counterparts. Cerberus specimens retain their physical ability, as we see when they attack Alice during the first movie. Becoming hugely aggressive and craving human flesh, the dogs are dangerous creatures to encounter, running and pouncing on their prey with ease. But in later films, they become even worse. During the global T-virus pandemic, the dogs are further enhanced and turned into fully functioning bioweapons by Umbrella. Sporting further mutations, the Cerberus monsters are able to split their heads vertically, unveiling a gruesome maw filled with fangs and tendrils. These further mutated Cerberuses are seen in Resident Evil Afterlife, with Albert Wesker keeping a pair of them as his personal pets. In Resident Evil The Final Chapter, a large pack of them is used to guard the entrance to the hive. Certainly not good boys, and you definitely wouldn't want to pet them. If you thought the Lickers were horrific enough, you might want to brace yourself. Uber Lickers made their grisly debut in Resident Evil Retribution as part of the Red Queen's experiments in Umbrella Prime. Uber Lickers are a significant improvement on their original form, making them far more deadly. A size roughly equal to a small house, 2 tongues, no lower mandible, and a much creepier design, they possess much of the same strengths as the original Lickers, increased strength and hunting abilities among them. But they also have the same weaknesses, tracking their prey via sounds and smells due to their lack of eyes. In Resident Evil Retribution, during Alice's assault on Umbrella Prime, an Uber Licker ambushes the survivors as they head for the exit. This impressive specimen captures and kills off several of the group until Alice is able to destroy the monster with a belt of grenades. You definitely wouldn't want to take on several of these bad boys at the same time. Oh, and the Uber Licker is able to encase its prey in organic cocoons to devour later. Yum. One of the lesser-seen mutants of Resident Evil, the Bloodshot, was spotted in the final chapter after Alice, Claire, and a handful of survivors break into the hive. Alice and Michael are plunged into an abandoned laboratory after a trapdoor is activated beneath them, leading to their encounter with the Bloodshot.
What the hell is that?
Bioweapon. This one's human.
The Bloodshot tramples or tears apart its victims with relative ease. Also using a powerful jaw, it uses to crush its prey. It uses similar methods to devour Michael's head in an instant, but the monster does have a couple of weaknesses. It's only able to see in infrared, allowing Alice to blind the beast with her flashlight. Secondly, the soft flesh beneath its lower jaw is the perfect spot to lodge a sharp weapon. Exactly what Alice does when she stabs the Bloodshot in the head. Only one Bloodshot was seen throughout the Resident Evil movies, but its horrific maw and lust for flesh make it one of the scariest monsters of the franchise. Not exactly a creature, but a monster nonetheless. Lisa Trevor is something else. Lisa appears in Resident Evil Welcome to Racoon City, originally as a young orphan at the Racoon City Orphanage. One of the creepier additions to Resident Evil lore, she ends up as a test subject in an illegal bioweapon trial. Held captive by Umbrella Corporation and injected with the progenitor virus. Surviving the initial virus, she was subjected to further experiments that gave her superhuman strength and durability at the expense of her mental and cognitive abilities. She's first seen by young Claire Redfield, who's scared by Lisa's monstrous visage and ultimately runs away from Racoon City. But Lisa appears again years later, aiding Claire and Chris as they try to escape the horrors of Spencer Mansion. Transformed from an innocent young girl into a genetically engineered abomination, Lisa Trevor now wears the faces of her victims in a horrific display of power. Although she ultimately aids our heroes in their escape, she remains one of the more terrifying parts of the Resident Evil reboot. That's right, it's the return of Nemesis, the iconic video game character from Resident Evil 3, Nemesis. But this time, he's a bit different. Nemesis began life as Matt Addison, an environmental activist crusading against Umbrella in an attempt to expose its illegal genetic research. Disguised as a police officer, he infiltrated Racoon City while searching for his missing sister, Lisa. While searching the Arclay mansion, the secret entrance to the hive, he is captured after crossing paths with Alice. He eventually helps her escape the lockdown during Resident Evil. Unfortunately, the pair were captured at the end of the film, with Matt inducted into the Nemesis program after he was exposed to the T-virus by an infected liquor wound. Warped by the virus as well as Umbrella's experiments, he became the first Nemesis, an augmented bioweapon with cybernetic implants that was controlled to obey every order from Umbrella. The monster's horrific appearance is legendary, With exposed teeth and a highly mutated humanoid form, its relentless tracking is due to Umbrella Corporation's programming. But the Nemesis also possesses superhuman strength, immunity to gunfire, and an impressive arsenal, including a railgun and rocket launcher. Because why not? Throughout Resident Evil Extinction and Resident Evil The Final Chapter, Dr. Isaacs is built up as the big bad guy, experimenting on the undead and trying to further Umbrella's highly unethical research. During the events of Extinction, the sinister doctor is infected after being bitten by an enhanced undead. Dosing himself with the antivirus, Isaacs is determined not to succumb to the infection. But it's too late. Umbrella orders his superior, Alexander Slater, to eliminate him. But Isaacs has already begun to mutate, turning into the truly horrific Tyrant in the process. Thanks to his heavy dose of the T-virus antivirus, Isaacs retains his intelligence while also possessing the brute strength and durability of the regular undead. Sealed into the lower levels of the Hive, he goes on a vast killing spree, slaughtering his former colleagues.
For so long, I thought you were the future. I was wrong. I am the future.
Isaacs isn't just a truly horrific monster. He's a tyrant in every meaning of the word, with a sinister backstory and an even scarier mutation than most. His genius intellect and hideous appearance are what make this monster the scariest of all. After all, he knows exactly what he's doing.